everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this done-for-you sales funnel system, you're going to learn everything you need to know to get up and running with your first sales funnel or diagnose why your current sales funnel isn't converting. Timestamp table of contents in the description, along with some other helpful links I'll be referencing throughout this video as we go ahead and put together your sales funnel via these 7 steps. So not only are we going to go through the best type of sales funnel to use when you're starting, we're also going to go through a full-blown implementation program on how to step-by-step set it up the right way. Now, before we dive into those 7 steps, let's talk about what a sales funnel is and 3 keys to success. So what is a sales funnel? All a sales funnel is a strategic process of transforming a stranger into a customer by building rapport, trust, and authority with them. That's pretty much it. We're just building relationships here. So here's a quick diagram of the different stages of that someone would go through. So a prospect is anyone across the world that would find value in your product or service. So it's not everyone in the world, it's someone who your product or service would actually help. And the goal of your social media or content marketing strategy is to get that prospect warmed up and actually starting to follow you on your social platforms. And then once they're part of your audience, you want to drive them to something called a landing page, which is what we'll be talking about as the first step to convert them from just an audience member into a lead. And once they're a lead, you'll be able to follow up with them via emails, send them to your upsell and downsell sequences along with your sales pages. And then finally, once they purchase, if they purchase, we hope they purchase, right? But if they purchase, they finally become a customer, and that ends the prospect to customer journey, which is what our sales funnel is all about. Now, the first key to success when it comes to building your sales funnel is remembering that software is just a tool. It's not going to be the reason that your sales funnel is successful. There's a lot of great solutions out there. It's very easy to get caught up in which one does which and the bells and whistles and all, but at the end of the day, it's the sales copy, your ability to connect with your ideal customer, that's going to be the determining factor and whether or not your funnel is successful. And actually, when we get to step number 3, I'll be talking about how you can set up the first part of your sales funnel without any upfront investment for $0. Now, the second key to success when it comes to putting together your sales funnel is being prospect focused, not product focus. So what this means is you want to talk about how the product or service is going to make the prospect's life better, not necessarily just talk about how awesome the product or service is. We'll get more into that later on in this tutorial when we talk about messaging, but just remember that you want to focus on the benefits and how great your ideal customer's life is going to be as a result of purchasing your product or service, as opposed to trying to just tell them how great your product or service is. Now, the third key to success when it comes to putting together your sales funnels is remembering that a funnel is never done. You're always going to be testing. It's a very fluid process. You're always going to be looking for ways to improve. You're going to be using feedback. And of course, you're going to be fixing all of the software bugs in that awesome sales funnel software that you've purchased. There's always something to be fixed or tweaked or tested. So with that, we're ready for the 7 steps. The very first step is an outline of the blueprint of the type of sales funnel we're going to put together. And then if you've heard of different types of sales funnels, we'll go over those different types. So taking a look at this diagram, you'll see here that this is the diagram we went over when we talked about the summary of what a sales funnel is. So there are pages that help us through each step of this customer journey. So this diagram shows us what the pages are. First, we have prospects, and we're converting them into an audience. These 2 sections are going to be linked in the description below if you want to learn how to create a content marketing plan or create an advertising plan. We won't cover that here. We're actually going to start, once they become a lead, with your landing page, your lead magnet, your email sequence, and then ultimately your sales letter or video sales letter, your upsell downsell sequence, and then they finally purchase. So the very first step to this process is your landing page. And this is where you're going to transform someone who's an audience member into a lead. And then once they're a lead, you want to use emails to transform them into a customer. And then once they're a customer, you want to use something called an upsell to increase the transaction value so you can pay for all of that traffic. We'll get into that math a little bit later. Now, the diagram you're looking at right now is a text-based sales funnel. So you may have heard of other types of sales funnels like webinar funnels or launch funnels or VSL funnels. All those are referring to is the medium and way in which you're delivering your sales message. So for example, a launch funnel, instead of having a free guide or PDF that's being offered on the landing page, you're going to be offering a series of educational videos. And so those videos are going to deliver value to your new leads, and they're also going to sell your product or service. The same is true for a webinar, where instead of offering some sort of one-off video or PDF guide on the landing page, you offer them a registration link to your webinar, and your webinar is going to be the value that they opted into your list for, and it's going to be the sales message that you're trying to convert them into a customer for. So I hope this kind of helps you see the differences in these funnels. It's all the same methodology. We're just changing the medium and way in which we're delivering the value that they opted in for and delivering the sales message that we need in order to convert them to a customer. Now, finally, I wanted to show this advanced funnel because it's very easy to get caught up in everything you can do. In this funnel, you can see not only do we have a webinar, but we have a little upsell sequence that we'll talk about, but then there's also a sequence that goes underneath it. This is something that you don't even have to worry about when you're just getting started. There are a lot of complex funnels out there, but until this core part of the funnel is working, all of that other stuff just does not matter. And the first step to making sure the core of your funnel works, which is step number 2, is knowing who your ideal customer is. Now, I'm briefly going to go over the 3 core questions. There's a link in the description to a data-driven way, deep dive to create your customer avatar. But essentially what we need to know is, the first thing we need to know is what media and what are they already engaging with. So we need a list of your top 5 competitors. We need a list of the top 5 influencers and the top 5 media outlets that people go to for information, or influencers that they're following in your particular marketplace or niche. The second thing we need to understand is just general demographics: age, gender, location, income status, if that matters. And then finally, the last 2 questions, or last question that's 2 parts, we're going to be looking at the perceived roadblock and the results that someone is after. And that's what we're actually going to be using in this tutorial video. So if you want to take a deeper dive on this particular diagram, go ahead and check out the link in the description to a full-blown video on how to figure out who your customer avatar is. Now, step number 3 is arguably going to be the most important step in our process here. We're going to slow things down a little bit because I know I've been talking quite fast, and this is your minimum viable funnel. So at this point, we've talked about all of the pages we could put together and all the different types of funnels we could put together. The possibilities are endless, but they only work if people enter their name and email on the landing page, right? Because if nobody enters their name and email on that landing page, then the rest of the funnel just doesn't matter, right? Because it'll be crickets. There's nobody going through. So a minimum viable funnel, and this is where the free software comes in, you just want to put together a landing page and then a lead magnet. And that's it. That's all we need to get started with our sales funnel building. So the first part of this done for you system is building out several landing pages. Now, we can do this for free using MailChimp or Google Sites. There's a link in the description to the duct tape sales funnel that shows you click by click how to set this up with 100% free software. And then when you're creating your lead magnet, I highly recommend using something called Canva. You can put together great looking PDFs in a relatively short period of time. The software is free. And if you insist on doing a video, then you can go ahead and do an unlisted YouTube video on a confirmation page, or you can use Vimeo for your sales video. Now, there are 4 keys to a high converting landing page, which is what we'll go through now. And then we'll go through how to write your landing page headline in the next step. So at the very top, we're going to have a headline, and the headline is just going to answer the question, what's in it for me? And is this for me? So we want to make it very clear what benefit someone is going to get as a result of entering their name and email to receive the free PDF guide. And we want to call out specifically that this is for them. Again, we'll get into the messaging and how to write this in a second. The second part is a clear and strong call to action to download the offer or watch the webinar training or sign up for the launch funnel sequence. The next step is bullet points. You just need 3 to 5 max. And all these bullet points need to do is answer the question of what does it do for me? So instead of talking about how fancy or great the PDF is, talk about how things are going to change as a result of them getting the PDF or registering for the webinar. And the final part, if you have it, is going to be adding some social proof via testimonials, or if you've appeared on any media outlets, you can go ahead and put those logos towards the top, and it just helps build credibility and let people know that they're not dumb for entering their name and email onto the page. You just need to show that you're a real person and real people have found value in what you're offering. So here's a basic example of one of the landing pages that we currently use. You can see at the top, it says 100% free marketing system. It has a clear headline that tells them exactly what they're going to get. And then it has a couple bullet points talking about the different aspects of not only what they'll receive as a result of getting access to the Aspire notebook, but also what it's going to enable them to do. And of course, the clear call to action button, get access now, that has a pop-up to collect their name and email. That is as fancy as the landing page needs to be. Now, this next step, number 4, I want to talk about the headline, because the headline is going to be crucial in making sure that the rest of your funnel process is successful. And what we're going to do with the headline is test the big results or goals that your ideal customer wants and the roadblocks that are in their way. This is how you ensure that you do the best job out of everyone in your marketplace communicating with your ideal customer. So let's go through a concrete example and write some headlines. So the first thing we're going to do is ask the 2 questions: what's their big dream and what do they need to get there? What do they think is in their way that they need to overcome? So for this example, let's talk about someone who's trying to become a full-time YouTuber. So their big dream is to be full-time on YouTube, wake up, make videos, and just live life on their own schedule. Sounds like a pretty cool dream. Now, what's getting in the way, or what do they need to do in order to achieve this dream? Well, they probably need more views, they need more subscribers, they need to accelerate that subscriber growth, improve the quality of their videos, and rank for some keywords. Now, of course, you're going to want to go through this process for your own ideal customer. You're going to think about what's their big dream and then come up with a list of things that they need to overcome or things they need to do in order to achieve that big dream or result that they're looking for. So there are 2 very simple headline formulas you can use to transform these 2 lists into an actual headline to test on a landing page. So the first one we have is how to result without hard part, and the second one is how to result even if. So the first example we have here is how to grow your YouTube channel without getting lots of views. So we're very clear here talking about something that they're struggling with, they're not getting a lot of views, and we're saying you can get the result that you want, grow your YouTube channel, even though you have this big roadblock or problem, you're not getting a lot of views. Now, another example on this list here is how to get more views without having a lot of subscribers. Again, we're calling out what they want and what they're struggling with. Now, the key reason that you want this list is because you're going to try testing all of these different headlines. And the one that works the best, the landing page that converts the best, is going to be very clear and tell you that that is the big dream that matters most to people, and that is the desired result or roadblock that they're struggling with the most. And then you can create the rest of your funnel knowing that you're talking about the right big dream and you're talking about the right problems. Because as you can see with this list, there are a lot of different things we could talk about. We could talk about subscriber growth. We could talk about ranking videos. We could talk about low views. But until we test it on the landing page, we don't know which one of these actually matter. And so for our test here, we would start with how to grow your YouTube channel without getting lots of views. And then we'd do how to rank videos even if you have a small channel. It's best to have very different problems and roadblocks when you're just getting started. You want big tests in terms of what you're talking about. So after running some traffic, we would know if ranking videos versus trying to get a lot of views is more important to people. And of course, for your lead magnet, it just needs to be a PDF. There are a lot of different options, as you can see here, but we really just want to get started as quickly as possible. So a quick PDF guide that answers that question and shows them how to do that and be successful is all we need when we're just putting together our minimum viable funnel. And with that, we'll have a couple of landing pages to test. Of course, we will test 2 at a time. Here I just have 3 examples: how to grow your YouTube channel, how to rank videos on search, and then how to use YouTube ads to accelerate your growth. These are 3 very different solutions to the same big dream and same problem of not being able to grow a channel. And so we test 2 of these at the same time, split traffic between the 2 of them, and see which one converts the best. Now, ultimately, with this example, if we find the YouTube ads one performs the best, then we know that we should make something about YouTube ads versus ranking. And so that's really all we need to do with our landing page. Now, once you have your landing page, whether you're doing 1 landing page or 2 landing pages, definitely only test 2 at once. We don't want multivariate split testing. That's just a pain in the butt. We want to focus on our emails. Now, emails might be a little hard, right? Because we're offering multiple different things on our landing page and we're not quite sure which offer is ultimately going to perform the best long term. But we still want to create 1 email sequence. Really, The only thing that has to change is the thank you page that people see after they opt in to your email list. And then these 5 emails can be pretty much the exact same because all you're doing is testing the landing page. We don't need to go make 3 or 4 different email sequences until we know exactly what message works on our landing page. So here's a simple sequence you can use for whatever product or service that you're selling. The very first one is here's your blueprint, link to the offer, and restate 3 to 5 bullet points of why it's so awesome and how it can help them. This is the only email in the sequence that you might want to change depending upon what opt-in offer someone opted in for. The second email is going to relate to them on a personal level, talking about a big challenge that they face. So talk about how hard it can be to achieve the result or dream that you identified in the previous step, and then debunk some common myths. And this can be common objections people have to buying your product or service. And in the PS section is where you're going to introduce whatever your paid offer is. Now, the next email is going to be a story. So if you have a case study of someone who was successful with your product or service, this is where you want to drop that in. If you have your own hero story, this is where you can drop it in. If you have neither of them, then this is where you can make up a story. Now, when I say make up a story, be very clear at the beginning of your email that this is a hypothetical story, right? We don't want to be lying to people on our email list. We really want to be clear that this is a hypothetical story. It's crazy how many emails I've read where I know that they're just making it up. So it's okay if it's a hypothetical, just say that it's a hypothetical. Now, the next 2 are going to be all about benefits, talking about how their life is going to change as a result of purchasing the product or service. And the final email, number 5, can have a PS letting them know that the offer is only going to be available for another day or 2. Of course, if it is not actually limited in terms of its availability, definitely don't do false scarcity. But if you have the ability in whatever sales funnel software you have to make the links expire or make the offer go away for the person, that's a great way to get someone who's gone through the 5 emails off their butt to actually take some action. And the action we need them to take is to purchase our product or service, which is what our sales letter is designed to do. So typically the emails are designed to get people to the sales message. And of course, as we talked about earlier, your sales message can be text, which is what I recommend starting with. It can be a video sales letter, a webinar, a launch sequence. And if you go with my suggestion of doing a text-based sales letter, I highly recommend the book by Dan Kennedy called The Ultimate Sales Letter that's just $13 over on Amazon. That is all the sales copywriting training you need when you're just starting. You don't need to purchase some elaborate or expensive course. This $13 book will give you all the copywriting chops you need to get started with your first sales letter. Learning how to write sales copy is something that's going to take a lifetime to master. So definitely skip all of the fancy training and just pick up this book. Now, the final step of our process, step number 7, is upsells. So at this point, you've put together a landing page, you've tested different messages on it, you've put together an email sequence, and you've slaved away writing a sales letter. And finally, they've hit buy. Well, hopefully they've hit buy. If they haven't, well, let's go continue testing that landing page until they do. But once they do hit buy, this is a great opportunity to increase your average transaction value that will actually ultimately allow you to run more traffic, make more money, and be more helpful to your ideal customer. So here's how it works hypothetically. Let's say you're selling a product that's only $25 and you have 10 sales, so your average transaction value is $25. Okay, great, you're making some money, good job. But what we could do is we could make some other offers to see if we can increase the amount of money we make on average with each new customer and provide them more value. So let's say we add 2 upsell offers, one at $50 and one at $200. And let's say 1 out of 3 people take the $50 offer and 1 out of 10 takes the $200 offer. Well, when we do the math again, all of a sudden our average transaction value over 10 people, instead of just being 25, winds up being 60. And that is with just a very low take rate on your upsell offers. Now, what's great is you've probably heard this in the past that your sales funnel is supposed to break even. And this is how you're able to pay perpetually for traffic, because all of a sudden, instead of only being able to afford whatever type of traffic you're running, instead of only being able to afford $25 per new customer, now you can afford $60 for each new customer, which means you can afford to run a lot more more traffic. So that's really what the power of upsells are for, to help you pay for your paid traffic and break even on everything we've been talking about. Now, what can you do for an upsell offer, right? You've gone through all of this work. So here are a couple ideas of an upsell offer that aren't going to take you additional time putting together. Remember, we want to minimum viable funnel, get this thing up and running as quickly as possible. And the fastest upsell ideas are ones where you give access to your personal time. So there are 3 simple ways you can do this. Number 1, you can offer individual consulting calls, you could offer a monthly mastermind, or you could offer access to a private Facebook group. All 3 of these can be used individually, or they could be combined, where you could offer access to a private Facebook group and you could offer a limited time package to a certain number of consulting calls directly with you. Now, what's great about these types of upsell offers is they don't require you to go build another product in order to figure out if they work. If they work, then you want to go try and build a product that has the same value proposition. But you don't want to build another course or build another information product and then put it in there and find that nobody wants to take you up on the upsell offer. Of course, the downside is if you're offering consulting calls or a Facebook group, you're signing yourself up for quite a bit of time in terms of actually delivering on those products or services. So that does it for all 7 steps of the Done For You sales funnel system. So we've gone through the blueprint, we've gone through each part of the sequence and the best way to start with your minimum viable funnel. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below and go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more in-depth walkthroughs and tutorials just like this one to help you be successful with your first sales funnel. So hit that like button, subscribe, and as always, keep building the business you love.